Thanks for joining us here at Good Teams Win Great Teams Cover. We've got our first review show of the season, week 1 review of the NFL action. And boy, is it good to be back. What a day yesterday was. Sunday in particular, but we had games Thursday, Friday, but the first Sunday of the NFL season certainly hits differently. The first 7 hours of commercial-free football from Scott Hansen just feels so good. Byron, Joe, what a last few days. Did you both enjoy yourselves yesterday? We're recording on Monday, so did you both enjoy yourselves yesterday?
Yeah, top class. Yeah, some good games during the day, a really good Sunday night football, and all the island games so far, Thursday night, Friday night, Sunday night, have all been really good games. So I know there's a few issues with Brazil's turf, but once you got past that, 3 really good games. So it's been a great week 1 so far.
Yeah, it's great to be. Yeah, it's great to be back. It's the telling Meg that basically the Sundays are written off now from still watching NFL from 11 a.m. till about 10 p.m. out here in Canada. It's just begun for the next 20 odd weeks, 20 whatever, 4 weeks, whatever it is. It's all it's great to be back. It's fun times and some big stories, some shocks, but it's as always. We'll see how much we overreact or underreact to certain teams.
Can't beat a good old overreaction Monday for week 1. That's for sure. And we're certainly going to be doing that, no doubt. We're going to go through, we're going to talk through. I wish we were not going to talk through in detail every game because it will be a 7-hour podcast. But we're going to talk through 4 of what we think were the biggest and best games of the week so far. We're not going to talk about Jets Niners because that happens tonight. So you'll hear our thoughts on Jets Niners on our week 2 preview. And we'll take a look at our bets, our FourFold challenge, our ATS prediction competition that we always have, and we'll have a look at the Fantasy Gameday lineup before turning our thoughts ahead to Thursday night football. And we'll start to do a little preview of week 2 as well. No better place to start then than the NFL kickoff game. It was the Chiefs at home against the Ravens, 27-20. This one certainly heated up. We got an absolutely fantastic game by the end and an incredible ending. As the tagline says, Chiefs tiptoed by the Ravens, 27-20. What did we make of the Thursday night football, the first game? What a cracker we got.
Yeah, it was a really good game. Competitive. It felt to me like the Chiefs were more comfortable than the final score indicated because, obviously 7 points isn't that close, I guess, but like you say, it's really a put in the line victory. If Isaiah Likely wears white cleats, they'd probably still call him out of bounds, truthfully, because it wasn't that close. But it was pretty close, let's be fair. Isaiah Likely, monster game. And that's not maybe the main story, but 9 receptions on 12 targets, 110, 111 yards and a touchdown. Mark Andrews in double coverage an awful lot. And I think you can kind of tell, we talked about this a lot, or certainly I did, coming into the season, like the Ravens O-line might be an issue. And it looked like it. They had a lot of keeping players in, not running, 5 players out on routes quite often. Justice Hill was a bit of a dump off a merchant in this game. Derrick Henry didn't get that much usage. What did he get? 13 attempts and didn't look that great doing it. Let's be fair, 3.5 yards a carry. He did get the touchdown, which I believe somebody called he'd get in the first half already. I'm shouting out Joe there if it wasn't obvious. I did like Isaiah Likely's comments after the game of, if that's the best the Chiefs have got, we're not that worried. It's like, well, might not be the best the Chiefs have got, and it might be the best you've got. And they've won by a touchdown. Sorry, this is me rambling a lot here, but just JB Worthy, goodness me.
Yeah, certainly the 4.21 man showed the Jets on the rushing touchdown, I guess, wasn't it? Moore got the touchdown on the busted play, the busted coverage from the Ravens, I guess, for a kind of walking easy touchdown in the second half. But that rush, he just put the burners on, and no chance of stopping him. Very, very impressive. What a great start for the rookie. But I was impressed with Baltimore, particularly the second half. I think once they kind of settled down a bit. Obviously, you mentioned the O-line problems. I think it was 4 illegal formation penalties for an O-lineman not being lined up on the line of scrimmage.
I think they were all Ronnie Stanley as well, weren't they?
I think a couple of them might have been. He might have got pinged twice, but there was definitely others as well. It was bizarre way to start. There was a couple of those things across the week that were just bizarre that I've never seen happen in a game before, and never quite as many as that as well. For that kind of penalty on the O line. But once they kind of got settled, I think some definitely positives to take away from the Ravens. Ultimately, they were so close to coming back from 10 down in the fourth quarter against the Chiefs. Would they have taken it to overtime? Would they have gone for 2 to win it? And take your chance either way. But I was really impressed with Lamar in the second half, and particularly that fourth quarter. I kind of thought he led those drives, extremely well, and did a lot of it through the air as well. We didn't, I think he threw for 41 passes, close to 300 yards, 217, and while he did have success on the ground as well, I was just really impressed with how he led those drives. So I think there's a lot of positives to take away from that. And I've got a feeling we'll see these two play again at some point in January.
Yeah, I'll be curious if he'll run as much, because he ran quite a lot and he did take some big hits. I'll be wondering if he continues that through the year. You do worry if he takes that many hits. You don't obviously want to see anyone get injured. So it felt like, I think the commentators mentioned this every 2 or 3 minutes, that Lamar Jackson's been waiting for this game. He's been ready to show everyone. It was like non-stop. They just kept mentioning it. But I think he did have a point to prove, and I think he certainly did it. On the Chiefs side, it was like there's some Presley you mentioned, whatever, but I think Rashee Rice had a big game as well. I think he just stamped that he is probably their number one, and he certainly looked like, and they were just doing the same play. It felt like over the middle. Yeah. And the ball Martin stopped it once, but he just, like, every single time it was just an easy 10 yards, and it was just an easy play to go to. And even though Pacheco didn't get that many yards, it seemed like he got a lot more. I feel like he had a big game as well. He looked impressive. So it certainly looks a different kind of Chiefs than last year. I think the offense was certainly exciting, and that defense was still dominant. So it's a bit scary. It's like, look out, the Chiefs are back, and it feels like they're firing on all cylinders. But they somehow only won by 7 just by a toe. It was a weird game. Yeah,
that Rashee Rice point, I think so many times he was lined up on a linebacker, and it was just not fair. Like I say, he had that chunk play over the middle for 10, 15 yards almost at will. For a lot of that game. Great game to kick off with. Chiefs win at home to go to 1-0. And kind of the Ravens, while competitive, I don't know what you take away from that. I think a lot of positives, but we'll see. From the bets perspective, I think a couple hit. So I was on the under that didn't hit, and Pacheco over rush yards, which didn't hit. Again, he got enough touches, kind of felt like he was going to get there. Worthy over 45.5 receiving yards for you, Byron, and Derrick Henry, a first half anytime touchdown at plus 230, so just over 2-1 for you, Joe. Great start for the King.
Yeah, great start. Thanks, Paul. It was a weird game for Henry. Obviously, he started off well, getting that touchdown. But I think because he got so far behind, they went away from him. But I think he'll have another monster year. And I thought I was going to hit the other one as well, Mahomes and Jackson to both get an interception. Mahomes got one, and I think there was one or two where it looked like Jackson throwing it in there, and I think a few drops. But good start. Can't really complain with a nice plus 230. The King for the King.
The king for the King. Excellent. Let's move on to our second game that we're going to talk about. It was the AFC South battle in Indianapolis as the Texans went on the road to play the Colts. Texans come out this one 29-27 winners. This was a close game. I kind of feel like the Texans, while they played well for the most part, pushed their luck a little bit. CJ Stroud in particular got away with a couple of plays that, a couple of interceptions that were called back, which could have obviously changed, massively changed the flow of this game. But this was a real good game. It looks like both these teams are going to be good. Certainly, we knew the Texans were. The Colts were good. And should we start by that Andy Richardson bomb first up? Cannon arm from Andy Richardson.
Obscene throw, beautiful. Alec Pierce touchdown, 3 catches, 125. Randy Moss kind of receiving line. For a player, I don't think it's been compared to Randy Moss before, but man, that was some throw. And that's exactly why you have Anthony Richardson. Like, was it perfect? No. He went I think he was under 50% accurate passing completion, or around 50%, through an interception, which it feels like he will do. Ran for a touchdown and forced himself over the line. But he can do that. Like, it's early Josh Allen. I don't want to say early Cam Newton, because Cam Newton, I think, was a little better than this out of the gate. But, like, it's that kind of, you get the boom and you get the bust. But, man, the boom is worth watching. And wouldn't you take this over a lot of quarterbacks?
Yeah, it'd be so much fun to be, like, it'll be so much fun. It might be frustrating at times, but it's so much fun to be in the after calls fan, knowing you can just pull that out any given moment. Yeah, it's...
And I know, like, obviously Josh Downs will be back in the coming weeks, if not this coming week. And, Alec Pierce gets a touchdown, which I don't think anyone really would have predicted. Ashton Doolin, who I think has mainly been a kick returner for the Colts, got a touchdown as well. That was another great throw. I mean, technically, that might have been a more technically sound throw than the actual bomb, because the bomb is kind of just a Hail Mary, look what I can do. Yeah, I'm going to throw it over the mountains kind of throw. And it was beautiful, and it was like, I think I messaged basically all my football group chats, including you guys, immediately, just like, oh my God, this guy, like, Anthony Richardson is insane. But the one to do, I thought, was an actual, like, real good NFL quarterback throw. And what I think is encouraging, these were missed throws, but, like, Adonai Mitchell was open on a few routes downfield where, I mean, it says a lot when you're overthrowing Adonai Mitchell, because he's not a slow receiver. It's not Adam Thielen. And if those start hitting, and Alec Pierce can stay in as a pure deep threat, the Colts are going to be really fun to watch this year. I mean, obviously we know the Texans are. They were rolling all things. Nico Collins, I think, is I hype Nico Collins up an awful lot this offseason, but he's a pure wide receiver one. I think he's a top 10 receiver in the league. But yeah, this was just a really fun game. I was just saying to Joe before we started, I was surprised this only came down to 2 points. Actually, I watched it live. I had this on as my other game than Red Zone. And it felt like the Texans were more comfortable than 2 points. And I was only when I realized that I was marked down as a loser on my bet for free. I was like, oh, wait, didn't the Texans win by like 5 points? No, they won by 2. It was a very fun game. Exactly what you want from a division week 1 game.
Yeah, divisional home underdogs covering the Colts plus 2.5. Covered. I think they were bigger than that by the time the game kicked off, but we had it 2.5 and we cut our lines. You shout out Nico Collins there. Yeah, he was 6 for 117. Stephon Diggs though in the red zone was red zone and end zone. 6 for 33 for 2 touchdowns. Could that be his role in this team?
I feel like it's going to be that kind of team where it's just going to switch around. I think when you've got the 3, like even with Tank Dell, I think it's just going to be certain games they're going to pick and choose who they're going to go with. I think it's certainly great in the red zone, but I would also be surprised the next game if he got 6 for 117. And I think it's just, pick your poison, who you're going to cover, and they're just going to attack the other side. But talk about Nico Collins, that catch when obviously the last drive where they just kept all the ball to run out that clock, and they were like 3 and 12, 3rd and 12 around that. And that was a ridiculous catch on the sideline because, if he doesn't catch that, the Colts had plenty of time to go down the field and just kick a field goal for that opening win, and we would have been like, "Oh, Texans blew it with being in the lead near the end." But I think it was a great game. I want to shout out Joe Mixon as well. I think he had a great game. Obviously, 30 carries, 159 yards. He was another one who, on that last drive as well, had a big run just to basically end the game. I think just all around the Texans' offense looked impressive, and I think both of these teams are going to be fun this year. It should be exciting with the talent and the weapons they've got.
Yeah, I love seeing Joe Mixon get 30 carries, especially when I've got him as the over 1K yards bet at 2-1 this season. So we've got, we're almost 20. We're 15% of the way there already. So that's a great start. We'll take that. You keep pounding the rock with Joe Mixon, and that'll be grand. Anything else to add before we move on to our next game? No. Excellent. Cowboys up next. Cowboys against the Browns in the late slate. Cowboys won 33-17 on the road. And we were all worried for the Cowboys in this one, including you, Joe, as well to start. And it was a breeze for the Cowboys, really, 33-17. But I think we just have to start with just how putrid that Cleveland Browns offense is, and how long's Watson going to get before we see Jameis?
Shouldn't be long. I was high on the Browns. I'm still not totally out on them, truthfully. They were missing the 2 tackles in this game, and Dallas really took advantage of it. And I think what Dallas really took advantage of, and it was kind of similar in another one of the late window games on Red Zone. If the quarterback can't throw deep, it really makes life easy. And Deshaun Watson can't throw deep. I mean, I think the only deep ball he hit was to CD Lamb on the sideline without his helmet on. And we're not going to touch on the game really too heavily, but their Bo Nix against Seahawks was exactly the same. It's like, if you can reduce the area you have to defend to 10 yards from the line of scrimmage and just get after him, it's going to make life really easy. And especially Dallas have got the horses to go after you. Browns without the tackles. Browns have had a lot of injuries through training camp and a lot of players coming in rusty as well, it felt like, and it kind of showed. And yeah, this was a really satisfying performance. Sean Watson got hit 17 times yesterday. Quarterback has not had that many hits since week 3 of 2006. And let's face it, could it happen to a better player? No, it could not.
Could happen to this guy.
It feels like it's one thing uniting America right now. Never mind Harris Trump. It is everybody hates effing Deshaun Watson. I seen a clip of Cleveland radio this morning, TalkSport radio, and the first thing was the guy just called in and was like, read out Deshaun Watson's quarterback rating, which was like 42, and then 144 something, which was Baker Mayfield's. And the guy basically just had a breakdown. He's like, I'm not doing it. I can't do this. And it's like, it's first call of the day, mate. I think it's going to be a common theme because Deshaun Watson absolutely stinks. I think he's going to stick around as long as he can, but I'd be stunned if he doesn't drastically improve. I'd be stunned if he's starting, certainly by Thanksgiving, by Halloween. He looks broken. He doesn't look like he can throw the ball deep. And, if he's getting paid $250 million regardless of his performance, then is that just kind of it? He doesn't tossed it off. He doesn't really care anymore. Doesn't look like he does. So
I think what the biggest worry is like Stefanski's shown that his system works with other quarterbacks, and it just feels like it's never worked with Watson. Is that on Watson, or does Stefanski have to change it completely? Obviously, they changed OCs, but it's still Stefanski calling the plays. It's his offense, so it's a bit of a worry. Obviously, the rushing didn't get going as well. I thought that's where they could try and punish the Cowboys. Obviously, Cowboys last year, that was one of their big issues, was stopping the run game, and I thought Jerome Ford would have better numbers than he did. So I think he just made him one-dimensional. But yeah, it's just that weird thing where Watson's getting paid all that money, so he's probably going to stick around. Stefanski's a 2-time head coach of the year with the Browns. It's a bit like, which way do you go? Who do you get rid of? I think it'll probably be Watson, but I think they'll stick with him for quite some time. And I was just a bit disappointed with the Browns defense. We came into this thinking, obviously their home record, I wasn't expecting too much from the Browns offense. It was more, is this going to be a tight, 17-16 kind of game? Hold Dallas to a few points. But it just felt, the first few drives they managed to get to Dak, but it just never, some of the drives just felt comfortable, and it was a bit disappointing from the Browns defensive side. And that's why, I was worried about the up and down of the defense to go into a year to be like, oh, that defense is going to be amazing again. They can just change, but offense is usually the case, and the Cowboys did well, and Ezekiel Elliott somehow got into a time machine, and he actually looked pretty decent.
That hurdle from play one, I thought I got pulled back with just straight up and over somebody. But yeah, just a point on the Cleveland defense, I suppose. Cowboys took Myles Garrett out of the game. They sort of tried to leave it early to see if the rookie Tyler Guyton was going to be able to handle Myles Garrett one-on-one. He couldn't really, so they started. Zeke played tight end for a couple of snaps. They chipped. They rolled Dak out to the right. They just made Myles Garrett a non-factor. I think it looked like early on he was going to be a real disruptive force all game, but smart coaching from the Cowboys to just say, let's just take it out, and we do that. I thought they were a bit lax offensively, the Cowboys, but they didn't need to be kind of at it because the defense played so well. You're right, the Browns were very, very one-dimensional. The Cowboys could just sell out to stop the run and put the Browns in force them into passing situations, and that's where Micah Parsons and Lawrence as well, to be fair. DeMarcus Lawrence had a great game as well. I think DeMarcus Lawrence had the most pressures he's had in a game since 2020. Parsons had 9 quarterback pressures. He could have ended up with 3 or 4 sacks as well. The tip for the Eric Kendricks interception. And it was great to see. I know it was late on and it didn't really matter for the purpose of the game, but Trayvon Diggs doing what he does best with another interception back from his knee injury. So I think great for Zimmer. Not really massive test for that defense, but great to get going. And we'll see more offensively from the Cowboys, I'm sure. Has it
changed your opinion of the Cowboys? Obviously, coming to this year, you two are very down on them, and obviously starting off this well.
I think let's see where they get. I think it's week 3 they play the Ravens, so that's the first test. They've got the Saints next week, which you can't look past. Of course, we saw what the Saints did yesterday to the Panthers, but I'm sure that'll be a very different game. But yeah, I think I see where we are week 3 against a real good Baltimore team. And I think that's when I'll start to reserve judgment. But I think in terms of what on paper was there were underdogs on the road and they've won outright. So ultimately, that's a great day at the office, a great day's work. So, but yeah, happy with how they went. But yeah, much sterner tests to come.
And a shout out to the special teams as well. Obviously, going to Turpin getting, averaging, he got 34-yard kick return and then his punt return, obviously getting the touchdown and averaging 20 yards. It's, that makes these games easy. And, we might be crowning a new, another king of the kicking game. Could be Brandon Aubrey is the new king taking over Justin Tucker because he's missed a few 50-yarders lately and Aubrey's hitting 66 with ease. I was hoping he was going to go for the 71. I thought, just to get the record, because I think he could have made it, but I understand it. But it was just like, go on, Mike.
I think he can certainly be because he made 66 with it. It looked at least at a couple of yards to spare. Is 66 Tucker? Is it 67 Tucker, the record?
66 Tucker.
So it's tied the record, wouldn't it? Yeah. I think he can beat it. And I think in another situation, he'll get the chance. And it's a weapon to have, right? If you can get 3 from there, it's certainly a weapon to have. Brandon Aubrey certainly is money. And let's talk about our 4th main game before we start rounding up the rest. And Sunday Night Football, again, great game. Not quite the track meet that maybe people thought it was going to be, but the Lions prevail in overtime, 26-20 against the returning Matt Stafford and the Lambs. And this was a real chess match for a long period of time until kind of the Lions broke it open in the third quarter. But yeah, this was a great battle between, two offenses that we know were great. I think probably we didn't really talk about how good both defenses were. And they certainly kept the scoring down for, 3 quarters of this one.
Yeah, it's a really good game. I felt like you could see the Rams O-line issues coming more and more throughout the game, though. It seemed like they had a player going down after every drive, which isn't easy to sustain because they were banged up coming into it. David Montgomery had a great game. I think, again, this one I don't really think needed to go to overtime. It just felt like, end of the third quarter into the fourth quarter, the Lions just got away from David Montgomery. I'm not really sure why, because he was playing really well. And then he had a couple of drives of trying to air the ball out. It felt like get Laporta more involved. I mean, Amon-Ra was really a ghost. What did he get?
3 for 13.
Yeah, 13 yards, which cost me a fantasy match from my work league. I thought I've got this one comfortably wrapped up, just in a normal game from. I honestly didn't even check it till this morning, and I was like, oh, I lost that game. I only needed a Monra but you needed to get more than 2 points. It turns out, a total ghost. J-Mo Williams, potential breakout candidate this year, and he looked really good. There was one touchdown where he was lined up on Tre'Davious White, I think it was, and he just kind of double moved him, and White looked like he'd never seen a double move before. It was incredible, but a bit like Xavier Wave mentioned earlier, just like you can't teach it and you can't stop it at speed. It is the great equalizer. But yeah, I was really impressed with the Lions for the most part. I didn't really understand the play calling in the fourth quarter. It felt like he was just letting Detroit. I'm thinking of Matthew Stafford, letting the Rams back in it, and I just did want to say, goodness me, Matthew Stafford is a fucking baller. Like, it's no new news. Like, every time you see Matthew Stafford, you come away, I think, feeling the same thing. But there was that one play, I can't remember who it was to. I'm guessing it was a cup now. or it's DeMarcus Robinson, where like I don't know how he completed the pass. You know, again, it's not Anthony Richardson's cannon 60 air yards downfield or anything like that. But he had two guys in his face, and he's like leaning backwards and to his right, slings it across his body to the left. I think it was DeMarcus Robinson, just gets it for the first down. And you're like, how has he completed that pass? Like, it is do or die time. That whole line is crumbling around him. Puka Nakua's out. And yeah, Tyler Johnson stepped up. DeMarcus Robinson stepped up. And Cooper Kupp was prime Cooper Kupp.
He certainly looked back to his best last night for sure. You're 14 grabs for 110 yards and the touchdown, and I think keeping Cooper Kupp staying fit is huge. Obviously, Nakua had his outstanding rookie campaign. Obviously, he's been a bit banged up, but yeah, I think Cooper Kupp's massive for this offense. And judging by Sunday night, he can go and have one of it. He can go have a top season and be top of the charts for the wide receivers, I think.
Yeah, and I did a bit of a common thread, really. I might mention it a few times on different games as we talk about it, but Cooper Kupp had 42 snaps and 12 touches in motion in week one. It's the most players had in the last 7 seasons in motion, and he was just incredible on it. The Rams kept him in motion, and he just gets open off the line of scrimmage immediately. And, Cooper Kupp might not be the fastest thing in the league, as he gets older, but he's such a smart side route runner, and he just gets open at will. And I think, again, we might touch on it later, but like you see all these teams, your leaders and getting players in motion pre-snap are the ones that are winning games and the ones that are like have offenses that look good. And if you're not doing that in 2024, I don't know what you are doing as an offensive coordinator. It doesn't seem like it's that big of a, it doesn't feel like it should be that big of a mismatch in 2024. And yet there's still some teams that just are not doing it. And I don't know why. But yeah, Kupp yesterday was just felt like constantly in motion and constantly open. It was really good to see. I love Cooper Kupp. So,
well, that was still doing a lot, obviously, in the second half with the offensive line going down and managed. And yeah, stage I come back. I think it's big for the Lions because it was a weird game where again they felt comfortable. They should be, taking this, and then suddenly, a touchdown. Okay, 17-13. They've got the ball. Get 3 points or a touchdown, just make comfortable. And then suddenly there was that great interception for the Rams, and then suddenly, they're 20-17 down, and they're punting it back to the Rams with not a crazy amount of time left. So I think it was huge for the Lions to come back to get that field goal and everything, just because it would have felt like a wasted opportunity, and you don't really want to start a year that way. And obviously just huge and over time just run behind Penei Sewell and just pound the rock when a team looked absolutely gassed, the Rams at the end. Like you said, why didn't they just do that near the end of the in the fourth quarter, and it may have been a bit more comfortable. But yeah, I think the Rams, like I said, I think it's just the injury was for the Rams. They look good. Stafford looks incredible. Obviously the offensive line, Puka Nacua, and yes, Stafford obviously had that ankle injury as well. You never want to see your quarterback keep getting hit and all that strapping, because it feels like one of them players where he'll play through the game and then suddenly you find out, he's ruptured his ankle or something daft like that. You don't want to, he's I think he's the second oldest quarterback, so you don't want him to get hit that many times. But yeah, promising from both teams, and yeah, big win for the Lions to get their season up and running, especially how the NFC North with some big injuries going that way. It was big for them to get going and put their stamp on it.
I don't think the plan will be for Matthew Stafford to be dropping back 49 times a game. Kyren Williams obviously found it difficult to get going, hit so many times in the backfield. Didn't utilize. I think we talked about it. We were expecting to see Blake Corum. He didn't get a snap.
He lied to us. I put a bell on it as well, and I said, "Is this Sean McVay putting everyone's pants down and lying to us all?" And I should have just gone with that instinct that he's that kind of guy who fucks Paul over with kicking a field goal and then lying about Blake Corum. Just never trust Sean McVay. It might be the only podcaster who doesn't like Sean McVay.
I said he was a scumbag. I don't know if it was just the way the game was going. I think that certainly plays into it, and just the fact they just could not really get going on the ground. So I'm sure we'll see plenty of Blake Corum.
I think part of the line issues probably didn't help with that as well. Kyren Williams can pass protect. I'm not saying Blake Corum can't, but you maybe don't want to risk it in week one when I'll just say everyone's as fit as healthy as they are. But I mean, other than the Rams O line, but like Kyren Williams is as fit as healthy as he's going to be. maybe next week we might see. I'm expecting we'll see Blake Corum.
Yeah. Excellent. So that wraps up our focus on the deep dive on the 4 games from week 1 so far. And let's flip over to our FourFold challenge. Ta-da. Oh, excellent background you've got for us there, Joe, as well. FourFold challenge. Rough one. We weren't great. Where was the best that we had? Byron 2-2-0 along with Gurmeet. It was a rough one. Favorite wise, I went 1-2-1. Jags and the Dolphins. Dolphins won 20-17 with a very late walk-off field goal, which was a push. It wasn't quite the high-powered Miami Dolphins offense we were expecting in week 1.
No, I had a few hits and misses. I mean, Tua was the passing yards leader on the week, I believe. And yet he missed so many throws, it felt like. I didn't have that as my main game, but it felt like every time I watched it, the ball was sailing over Waddle or Tua's head, or Tyreek Hill's head. I'm not sure exactly what was going on there. I had this as my over. I thought this would, I'm not going to say hit comfortably, but I thought they'd get a lot closer. What did it end up as? 36 or so?
37, 20-17, yeah.
I thought there'd be more scoring in this one. Kind of helped in terms of the Dolphins hitting, and the over not hitting for me was Travis Etienne fumbling into the end zone, and that was recovered by the Dolphins. So that was 7 points off the board there. It just felt a little disjointed. I don't think anything to really worry about with Miami. Like, it's not like they need to arrest a decline or anything like that. I think they're just to sharpen up a little bit maybe. I think there is a little issue as well of, passing, I think, across the league wasn't quite right this week. I don't know if that's to do with the lack of preseason. It's kind of my thought that it is. I don't have any proof of this, though. And
I thought science behind that, yeah.
It just feels like a lot of the passing games weren't quite in sync this week. I think there was a league low in passing touchdowns for week 1 for the last 10 years. It's as low as it's been for, at least 10 years. I think I seen last night. And it did feel like, Tua was just sailing a few balls. And I just think, you can have all the time you want in training camp practicing these things, but maybe try and get your starters a few more reps in preseason might be an approach for some of these teams. I know that the Dolphins won regardless, but I think there was some very sloppy passing play yesterday.
Yeah, I think there was across the league. I think this one, just to touch on this game, I think this was a real missed opportunity for the Jaguars. They were just fully in control of this game across the board. They've just kind of let Miami hang around and get back into it. And then it was real. I think they played it for you kind of two and a half or 3 quarters. They played it really, really well, the Jags, and then just kind of fell apart. Interesting, kind of Bigsby was more successful on the ground. I think he's going to get a much bigger part in the offense than he did in his rookie year. I think it's a real missed opportunity, this one, for the Jags. They were there and just had control of the game. I'm sure we'll see better from Miami certainly in September, October anyway. Got the win, and I suppose that's all that matters with this disruption, especially obviously Hill arrested or stopped by the police before the game. I also found out Calais Campbell got cuffed as well, and whichever copper decided to do that, it's very brave. He's a very brave individual.
Well, one of the cops has already been placed on admin leave.
I've seen that.
They're actually doing it.
Some large handcuffs to play around Calais Campbell.
I imagine multiple 2 or 3 pairs together, I imagine. So.
Yeah. I can also imagine him just going just easily, yeah.
I did kind of like Tyreek Hill, though, talking after the game about, what if it wasn't me, just a regular person? It's like, well, Tyreek, I'm not sure you could be the one pointing out not getting a good crack in the legal system, mate. Maybe just you do have some privilege.
Yeah, and as expected, he hit the touchdown Sally as well. The celebration, getting cuffed. And a heck of a play as well. We'll move on. Byron, your underdog. You took the Giants as an underdog. Did you take the Giants as your underdog? I know we recorded that a few days ago, but astonished that anybody had taken the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, Darnold, to be fair, shone much more than I expected him to.
He was perfect through
12 for 12, I believe.
Just before halftime. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a bet on Jalen Naylor to go over his yardage as well, which was really frustrating because he went 1 for 1 for 21 and then never threw the ball to him again. And
Was
I
it
needed
21 and a half his line? It was close to that. It was early 20s, wasn't it?
Well, I think his actual line might have been under 20, but I had him on like the ladder starting at 25.
Got you.
And he was like, guys, come on, just throw him the ball again. Because Kevin O'Connell come out and said that he's going to play the Hawkinson role. Well, Hawkinson doesn't get one target a game. Let me tell you. So, the Giants were really bad.
That's generous.
No, I mean, Brian Daboll's already came out today. This is Monday, lunchtime-ish in the US when we're recording. As yes, he's a starter in week 2. I mean, that's not great when you're coming out and have to confirm that he's a starter already. I understand he's just answering a question. To be fair, he didn't come out and go, "Hey guys, Daniel Jones is a starter next week." Like, he gets asked the question, he answers it. But yeah, I wonder how long it is till we see Drew Lock, and I kind of wonder, does it matter? I picked the Vikings to finish with the worst record in football, but I certainly think I might be on the wrong track, and I don't think the Vikings are good. So I think there's another couple of teams who look noticeably worse, including the Giants. I was kind of stunned again. Malik Neighbors, 5 receptions on 7 targets, but the fact Wan'Dale Robinson got 12 targets, Darius Slayton got 4 targets, Theo Johnson got 4 targets. Like, hello, just maybe throw the ball 1 billion times to Malik Neighbors. Maybe, and again, get Malik. I know I'm harping on this, and I probably will until all the teams start doing it. Get Malik Neighbors in motion, maybe.
And he was interested in the locker room afterwards. He was a very frustrated individual. They asked him about what was the quarterback plays. I don't know what's going on back there. One to watch as the season goes on. I think that one as well. But yeah, also the Giants got what they deserve for wearing the throwbacks in week 1, and that jersey's awful.
I don't mind wearing the throwbacks in week 1. I do mind. Those are offensive. Those are ugly, ugly, ugly uniforms. Fitting of the performance we got, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a long old season for the New York Giants, going down 28-6 to the Vikings, who, I think at the end, the Vikings were minus 1.5 for the game, and covered it comfortably. Darnold, fantastic first half. Didn't need to do much in the second half, but great stuff from the Vikings. Joe, your favourite still to come. You're on the Niners, so we'll talk about that afterwards. You're 0-3 though, so you had your fourth's terrible. He had the Falcons as his favourite. Pittsburgh Steelers did it again. Win the game outright as an underdog. 6 field goals was enough as the Steelers won 18-10 in Atlanta. A lot of noise yesterday after the game, particularly around for the Falcon fans. Not really any different. Didn't see really anything different on offense than they've seen the last couple of seasons.
How long till Michael panics? Kirk Cousins can't move. They didn't run a single play action play yesterday. It is staggering. You can't just. And there was I forget which. Did Kirk Cousins throw 2 interceptions?
2. Yeah.
The one that was directly down the middle of the field, though. Again, I forget who picked him off. You can see that he's just not planting his right foot.
Yeah.
And Kirk Cousins isn't Anthony Richardson. He does not have the physical skills to not have his feet set and to not, have the fundamentals right. I found this really disheartening as someone who's picked the Falcons to win the division and is generally, somewhat high on the Falcons. I think they have made improvements. I think the defense has improved. But I mean, yesterday didn't show any of this. When I'm saying I think they've improved, it's on Saturday I felt this. Sunday morning I felt this. Bijan Robinson got plenty of work and didn't do too much with it. But I think Kirk Cousins is like this big red flag waving on the Falcons, season essentially. He needs to be able to move. That doesn't feel like you're asking a lot, does it? And if you've drafted Drake London or Kyle Pitts high in your fantasy drafts, I'd also be kind of worried. I think Bijan's going to get enough work that it doesn't matter, but it's just he needs to be able to throw the ball. Like I can't emphasize it enough. Really, he looked really, really, really poor. He looked like an old man coming back from an Achilles injury, which he is. But that doesn't mean you need to have him play football.
Was it a tough week 1 matchup especially the Steelers. We know how good the Steelers are defensively. TJ Watt has kicked off his Defensive Player of the Year campaign as well. He was unplayable, and he had there was a couple of sacks again that he chalked off for one where he was just offside, which is fair enough. But another one, I think it was another one or two where just inconsequential fouls elsewhere on the field. And they just didn't help. Like they didn't do what the Cowboys did before. They didn't try and chip him. They didn't try and double team. They didn't do any of that stuff. They just left TJ Watt one-on-one. And what are you expecting to happen? TJ Watt just ran riot. Unbelievable. And the Steelers play well defensively as a whole. I think he was credited with one sack in the end, but it could have been so much more TJ Watt. But defensively, they were real solid. I didn't need to do more than kick 6 field goals to win the game. Offensively, obviously, Russ ruled out. We kind of got word late on in the week that he might be struggling to make the game. Is this now Fields' job? He did it. I think he did enough.
Yeah, I think if Russ is fit for next week, I think they'll put Russ back in. But I think as longer he is out with this injury, and Fields just does enough. And this is why the Steelers get to 8 and 9 wins every year, because they win these kind of games where the defense basically wins and the offense just about does enough with all them field goals. Field goals.
Field
perfect name. Yeah. I'd be curious. Obviously, did the John Terry on the sideline wearing his full kit while it wasn't even had it. But it's such a Russell Wilson thing to do too. Yeah, be a full outfit while getting ruled out.
I was mocking him as well, but I guess he took the role in essence of the third quarterback that, in case of emergency, could have played. So had Fields and who else was it? Fields and
no idea.
What was the question?
So the fact that Russ had his kit on, even though he was inactive, he was in essence playing that third quarterback role that could have come on had the two quarterbacks gone down injured.
But he only could do the third one. He would have to be part of the 53-man squad. That's still a rule. So if he wasn't even in the 53-man squad, he's not.
I believe that rule's been taken away this year anyway. I think it was a one and done.
I think I rejected that one. They have to be on the 53-man squad in order to play. Yeah,
you're right. Sorry, I'm saying. Yeah. They used to have it as you could. Last year, they just had it, the third quarterback could just be there, I think. Yeah. Whereas now they do have to be part of the 53, yeah.
So he came on the pitch to celebrate like it.
And you make a good point, actually, about Justin Fields' goals. If I was Russell Wilson, I'd rebrand as Russell touchdowns this week and see if that can swing the boy.
They do something cheesy there, like Russell. Yeah, I'm Wilson.
I love it.
I think one of the other interesting point, I think, from the Steelers offensively is the Najee Harris, Jalen Warren split. I think we're fully expecting Jalen Warren to get and then that might change. It's only week 1, but he got 2 carries for 7. He got 2 carries. Najee Harris got 20, and then obviously Fields, I imagine, takes away some of that, where the fact that you can run the ball with Justin Fields, and he obviously had 14 carries for 50-odd yards as well. But that might be, people might have taken Warren, especially fantasy-wise, for some good value depth running back, but so far doesn't look like he's going to get many touches.
I think, to be fair, Jalen Warren was injured in the preseason, so I'd expect that it might not be 50-50 next week, but I think in snap share it was something like 20, just under 30% for Jalen Warren, about 60% for Najee, and about 10-12% for Cordarrelle Patterson. God bless him. Can't get rid of Cordarrelle. Arthur Smith loves him. But on third downs, Jalen Warren was out there for 50% of the snaps. So I think it was when he was needed, he was out there. And I think that will step up over time. I don't think Najee's going to be a 20-yard, maybe he will be a 20-yard player, but I don't think he'll be a 20 carry player every week going forward. I think Jalen Warren will step up. I think this was a bit of a not necessity and kind of easing him back a little after his injury.
Right, so moving on, my underdog was I had Jalen Daniels and the Commanders as 3.5-point underdogs, and the Bucks killed them 37-20. And my God, Baker played well. Baker played really well. And you know what? I was down on the Bucks, but like we talked about, you've got Baker, and if you can get him going again, Godwin and Mike Evans, just experienced receivers, just did those things that that we know they can do, that they're so good at. And on the whole, real good outing for the Bucks. Comfortable winners at home against the Commanders.
Yeah, I think the word comfortable just describes the game and Baker, to be honest. And we're curious how they play. Obviously, the Commanders are still not amazing defense, and we'll see where it comes up when they get the opposition's a little bit harder because they still had the typical Commanders, defense, mind melts and missed assignments and whatnot. But also there was some of them throws from Baker were spot on, couldn't do any better. So it's looking good for the Bucks and not for the Falcons and the Panthers in that division. So
Jaden Daniels debut for the Commanders looked a bit skittish at times. I think on the whole, I think the rookies struggled. The three that started, but yeah, impressive when he got moving when he moving with his legs. Plenty to work on for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, my biggest concern, I think, with Washington, like we know the defensive backfield's terrible. Godwin and Mike Evans went 13 or 14 for nearly 150 yards, 3 touchdowns between them. But he has Terry McLaurin just stood on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Like, again, getting moving, like, is your only good weapon, and you've got Terry McLaurin just stood there. Like, you help Jaden Daniels out.
Yeah, a little bit. He's going to need some support for sure. Byron, your over was Jags Dolphins, which hit under we've talked about. Joe, your under was Cowboys Browns. Again, I hit the over. Gurmy, he was on the Packers 2.5-point underdogs against the Eagles. I think we have to talk about the headline first. Jordan Love going to miss time between 3 and 6 weeks. Got injured very late on in that one. That's big trouble for the Packers without Jordan Love.
Yeah, especially that Malik Willis is the backup. So I'll be curious if they'll bring another quarterback in the building. I know it's obviously on social media, as I mentioned, Tannehill and whatnot. I think it's just the extent of Love's injury. If it's like 3 or 4 weeks, they might just try and survive. If it's again 6 to 8, it's they'll probably try and get someone in. But it's just not the greatest way to end that game. I think the Packers had chances. They missed the 2-point, they missed the field goal. It was there for them. And obviously there's some issues with the field and whatnot. But yeah, not great going into an international game, losing, and then also your star quarterback getting injured. Not the best way to end it.
Yeah, Eagles win 34-29. In case of old faces, new places, Jacobs and Barkley in particular had pretty good games for running backs. I just kind of forgot how much of a beast Saquon Barkley was.
The Giants will do that to you.
That Giants won that whole line. He was good on the ground, in the passing game. It was absolutely sensational, Saquon. 24 for 109 on the ground and 2 touchdowns. And caught touchdowns, well, 2 for 23 with a touchdown grab as well through the air.
Yeah, I think it was still a sloppy game from both teams, though. So I'll be curious where they go if it's the field, because I think both quarterbacks, there's quite a few interceptions and a few balls which should have been intercepted as well. And whatnot. There was lots of ups and downs for both teams, but it was actually an exciting over for an international game for once.
Yeah, it was a great game itself. Hurts really did try and lose this game. Philadelphia he seemed to do trying everything. And one could say, I don't know if he did not seem very mobile, Jalen Hurts. He seemed to struggle to get moving.
Yeah, he doesn't look as smooth running as he did last couple of years, certainly. Again, we'll see, I guess. If he didn't feel comfortable on the turf, that's understandable, I guess. And they've not done enough to win the game, but in the first quarter, he looked like, again, he had not seen a football in the preseason, never mind been practicing with one. That interception was god-awful. The fumble, we're going to expect some kinks with Jason Kelce not being there. That kind of happens. But I think the Eagles will just come out and go, hey, it's a win. On to the next one. This is a tough game, versus the Packers. Gurmeet took it as an underdog for a reason. I think the Eagles will just be happy to get home with a win and everyone healthy enough.
Yeah. So moving on, Saints, Panthers had it under 41.5. The Saints covered that on their own. You knew early this one was going to get ugly. I kind of shouted out earlier, the Saints are going to get 58, and they aren't particularly great offensively. But yeah, the Panthers, oh my God. I think I didn't think it was possible that they could be worse. I think they might be. I felt, Bryce's first pass attempt was an interception. It just, he was on the run. The Saints were all over him. That offense they're just off and nothing. This is going to be real rough for the Panthers.
Yeah, and Derek Brown out for the season as well now. This morning that was confirmed. So I don't know if there's a light at the end of the tunnel for Carolina. This is as bad as it can get, right? Like, I'm not saying it won't be worse during the season, but I mean, like, on a team level, this is as bad as it gets. There was nothing there.
Yeah.
Bryce Young had the longest time to throw in the league yesterday as well. So it wasn't like he was under too much duress. He just doesn't seem to know where to throw the ball. And, you know, there's pockets that would be good enough, I think, for taller quarterbacks, truthfully. And he just can't see. Yeah, I think this is a sobering day, I think, for the Panthers. On the plus side, Saints, I think, were really good on offense. Shaheed getting open. And again, I've touched on this a lot, but a lot of people are doing good research into this. Is Jacob Gibbs, a really good fantasy analyst. The Saints led the league in pre-snap motion yesterday. 88% of snaps had pre-snap motion on offense. And again, you could just see the Panthers didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, Clint Kubiak came as their OC in the offseason, a Shanahan Kubiak disciple, and instantly paying rewards. Like you said in our chat yesterday, I think Kamara had about 10 attempts from inside the 5-yard line. It was absolute men versus boys. And I didn't think the Saints had this in them. I think we all kind of thought the Panthers might, though. So
I think there's a lot of teams that are going to kind of run up 40 plus on the Panthers this year. A lot of teams that we might not necessarily be expecting it to as well. But yeah, I wasn't expecting Saints. They're not the Saints to be as good, but maybe just the Panthers. I wasn't expecting it to be that bad. I thought it'd just been a kind of close NFC South game. But yeah, Derek Carr looks okay. We've seen plenty of Taysom Hill as well. I thought Kamara was going to end up with a monster game, but they just kind of went away from him a little bit as it was well in hand. Yeah, comfortable over in the end. Byron, you hit under on what was the upset of the week. Patriots win outright 16-10 against the Bengals, and the Bengals also looked awful.
They did look awful, yeah. Maybe, again, having your best players just not train at all is an issue. Gesicki nearly came off a nice touchdown, which I thought would have been maybe a change in fortunes, but the Bengals look really bad. And I think, again, a bit of a fundamentals game. You know, every drive, I think the Patriots defense played really well, obviously. But Ramondre Stevenson was breaking tackles, it felt like, on every single snap. And the Bengals didn't know how to tackle and were getting tackled every single snap. You know, first contact, it was like the player goes down. Incredible coaching job, I think, by Jared Mayo. I think we have to give him a lot of credit. Jacoby Brissett apparently has wheels nowadays. He just gets on rolling and moving and scrambling for yardage. What did he end up with for the day? 732, you know, 5 yards a carry. Ramondre went 120 yards. Just really, you know, I don't think it's going to be enough to beat many teams, but and what felt like a woefully prepared Bengals team, it was more than enough, as it turns out. Not how I expected to hit the under, but yeah, worrying for Cincinnati, I think, how cold they looked.
Yeah, take them out, you can
especially
get
at home as well.
Yeah, I think, Joe, and we shouted out, Joe, again, like, I must have shouted out for half a dozen times. Bengals start slow. Why I was taking a -8, I do not know. But yeah, the Bengals start slow a little bit. And just the two giveaways, the two fumbles, you know, a great play to deny Tanner Hudson was rolling in for a touchdown. So that's a huge swing and momentum, a great punch out and recovery. And the Charlie Jones one from the punt, the punt or kickoff, punt. Yeah, just give the Patriots the ball inside the 20. They only got through after, but it was just sloppy all around. And also, again, another shout out. The orange and orange is terrible. Orange pants and orange jersey is terrible.
It looks like arena football here.
Yeah,
or like an old wrestler.
Yeah, it did not look good. Yeah, so Bengals move on, and it doesn't get any easier for the Bengals as they go to the Chiefs next week. Yeah, could be in a hole early.
Off to Burrowhead.
Off to Burrowhead, yes. We'll see how they get on. Joe talked about yours. Your underdog. You were also, you were also on the Packers as an underdog, weren't you? Can you hit the over in Cardinals, Bills? We said this could be probably one, the most, real fun game, possibly the best one of the week. But the Bills came out of the hole. They were down early against the Cardinals and came back, and we saw Josh Allen playing a lot of hero ball in week one. I've missed it.
Yeah, it feels like that's just what the offense is. Nothing else really seems to work. Dalton Kincaid, an early shout for fantasy bust of the season, is obviously way too early, but wasn't encouraging for people who took Dalton Kincaid. That might have been me in some of our, I'm not sure if it was our league or not, but yeah, I have a fair few Dalton Kincaid on my rosters, and he did nothing essentially, and no one else really did other than Josh Allen. It felt like James Cook was pretty useful on the ground. That's maybe a bit unfair, but it is just Josh Allen versus the world. It feels like so. Yeah, it's pretty good at it though. So
he is 2 touchdowns through the air. He obviously rushed in for two as well. 34-28. The Bills won. I think in the end, was this another push? Was it +6? Yeah, this was another push.
I think I've seen a video as well that the Cardinals had a chance to win. I saw that Marvin Harrison was running free down the line, and Murray just didn't see him. Just to get the win there. That would have been huge for the Cardinals. But feels like what they do. And shout out to DJ Dallas as well. Obviously getting the touchdown from there.
First dynamic kickoff return. Yeah. Dynamic DJ Dallas. Pub quiz question, trivia question. For sure, 96 yards for the first dynamic kickoff return. And really impressed with the Cardinals. They managed to kind of put 28 days. Marvin Harrison Jr. was held to one catch for 4 yards. He was a non-factor.
Yeah, I think for some of that, though, we can look at Kyler Murray. And also I think we can look at the scheming for him, because it felt like he was just setting himself downfield an awful lot, whereas Greg Dortch was getting all these kind of layup targets and Michael Wilson getting these kind of easy targets. And you think, again, maybe I feel like I'm harping on this a lot today, but maybe try and scheme your best players open more rather than using Marvin Harrison as a deep threat. I mean, he can do it, but he can do everything. That's why you drafted him number 1, 2, 4 overall, 5 overall, 5 overall, 4 overall. Anyway, top 5. I just felt a bit of a wasted opportunity, and I think surprisingly, this game was there for them. Like Joe says, there was that one where Marvin Harrison is wide open.
As we'll say, I think Cardinals are going to be a lot of these fun games as the season goes on. Let's talk about one rookie, Marvin Harrison Jr., to another. Bo Nix and the Broncos fell to the Seahawks 26-20. I think in the end, depending when obviously this line moved, I think this ended up as a push. It was -5.5 for us though, the Seahawks. So win and a cover. Seattle were real bad for 2.5 quarters. They were putrid. I was trying to find stat I was trying to find stat if the team had won giving up 2 safeties before.
Oh, that's a good one, have they?
I don't know, but they were terrible. Great defense from the Broncos and good special teams play as well to pin them at the one. But Geno just did not get going early on. Obviously, they did get it going. They had another injury. We talked in the preseason about injuries to that O-line being a problem. I think we've seen, again, problems with that during the game, but they overcame it, and we saw kind of Bo Nix and the Broncos start off okay, but again, not being able to move the ball down the field made it easy for Seattle to kind of stifle them.
Bo Nix doesn't look good. That offense doesn't look good at all, though, so I don't want to blame it on the 37-year-old rookie, but it was tough watching. And again, it's really easy when you know that the ball's not going to go over your head. It's really easy to call good defense, and Mike McDonald, I think, is one of the best defensive play calls in the league, period. And I think a week of introspection for the Broncos. Obviously very low on them going into the season. This did nothing to ease my concerns, I guess, of them. But I know you said a lot of things about the Seahawks. I think the crucial part is that it was never in doubt. A 6-point cover, no problem. Tyler Lockett looked pretty good, and I'm not going to head of my skis in any way. I don't even have this game up in terms of stats. It's just one I watched, and eye test wise. Obviously, I shouted out Kenneth Walker at 75-1, I believe, as a potential OPOY candidate on our bet preview show. It was actually 150-1 on FanDuel, so I hope no one took the 75-1. But Ken Walker is a better looking running back in the league right now.
Yeah,
it went 100.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
103 yards on 20 attempts, touchdown. Not much in the passing game as yet, but man, he looked good. If he can stay fit and do this all season, 151 is going to look really long. I'm not going to say he's suddenly a favorite for it by any means, but I was really encouraged. I'm really annoyed I didn't get him in our fantasy draft.
Good outing for Walker. More to come from the Seahawks, you'd hope, like I say, because early on it was bad. Also, again, don't wait throwbacks week 1. I love that jersey. It's a great jersey.
I like it. I don't mind week 1.
Don't wear it in week 1. Don't waste it on the Broncos, basically. Yeah, I had the over in that game, so that was my one hit. And Byron, you had them as your favourite. Caleb, let's talk about Caleb Williams and the Bears. We've not got too many games left to talk about, so we'll be wrapping up shortly. This looked rough. Offensively, real rough for the Bears. Defensively, obviously defense and special teams won them the game, but offensively, it did not look pretty for the Bears. He looked a bit shell-shocked. It looked a bit too much for him that game against a Titans team and defense that isn't particularly dominant.
I think that secondary might look better in time than we think it is going into the season, but he looked really bad. There was that one play, I don't know who actually got him in the end. I'm tempted to say Jeffrey Simmons just because it's easy, but where he's running backwards and spinning, and it's like, buddy, throw that ball away. It's the NFL.
Yeah,
it's one of them welcome to the NFL moments of like, you just
these
can't
D linemen can run. Yeah, these D linemen can run in the NFL. Yeah, like
alert, this guy isn't working at Target for Christmas. He's gonna be here just as long as you are. And the amount of balls, again, I don't have a number on this, but the amount of balls that Caleb Williams is trying to throw through defenders and instantly getting batted, because again, these guys aren't going to move their hands out of the way. They're the elite of the elite of the elite. You know, that's why they're there. Was a little concerning to me as well. The Bears won. Great to get that win in the circumstances, but yeah, I was a bit disheartened with Caleb Williams. I'm certainly not writing any kind of narratives about him, his career, or week 2 even. But it was a really disheartening performance, I felt.
There was a lot of I told you so's from the pundits this morning and the analysts around those that had branded that Williams might struggle. But I think in the he was less than 50% on his passes, didn't get to 100 yards passing. It was a struggle. I've no doubt he will be better through the season, but he's going to get in interception trouble. I think he's going to get in interception trouble, and one I might be jumping on for most picks. I think it's going to be rough for him.
I think as well. Sorry, Keenan Allen, 4 of 11. He looked a shade off as well, and Rome Odunze is going in for an MRI on his knee today. So, that wonderful Bears receiving core. Maybe in a bit of a struggle. They've got Sunday Night Football playing the Texans next week, so could do with everyone being fit and healthy for that one. And just before we move on, I mean, the Titans not covering this game. I know we only took the over here, but they were led 17-0, didn't allow an offensive touchdown, and the Bears finished with under 150 total yards on offense, and they didn't cover 4.5 points.
Yeah, and they looked okay against this one. Red zone early on got this quite a lot, and the Titans did look okay. Tony Pollard had a real decent game, great touchdown run. He looked like he'd have a bit of a spring in his step that we didn't see with the Cowboys last year. Obviously had a real bad injury the year before, so maybe he might get back to his best. So not disastrous for the Titans from a defensive perspective, but they just needed to close out that game, 17 up, and you had the game because the Bears were doing nothing offensively.
And I think this is one of them where, again, like, I'm not saying you go back to a Tannehill type because it is not there, but also, like, Will Levis isn't a game manager. He is, very much Poundland Anthony Richardson, I would dare say. Like, when it calls for a 5-yard check down, he's going for a 60-yard bomb, come what may. And, you get the Poundland version, you're not going to get the results.
Fair enough. Right, let's move on. Joe, that was our FourFold challenge. We'll do better next week. we promise. Just onto our ATS predictions. So week 1, so we've still got the Monday night game to go. But after a strong start, I was 5-8-2 in our ATS pick. Byron 8-5-2. And Joe 6-7-2. Not many that we're too different on. Chiefs and Eagles that me and Byron got from the early Thursday, Friday games. Joe was on the other end. I took the Steelers. I was the only one on the Steelers +3. Joe, you were the only one on the Colts. Also the only one on the Vikings. Comfortable win. Byron, you were flying solo on the Seahawks. One game we haven't talked about, the Chargers. Raiders, which was the only game we've not touched on. This was a very attritional battle, which was to be expected. I the under on this one. 22-10, it finished in the end. The Chargers just able to pull away. I think we got what we were expecting from the Jim Harbaugh Chargers.
Yeah, it was really nice to see J.K. Dobbins being able to move. 10 carries for 130 yards, touchdown. He hasn't got the long speed, but I think after all he's been through, maybe we shouldn't expect him to. But it was nice to see him being able to play football. I've always loved J.K. Dobbins as a player. And I think there was a bit of a, certainly me and Joe are big fans of the Around the NFL podcast. La Reveal Magnifico of Antonio Pierce punting the ball down 6 about midway and with 7 minutes remaining. It was, what are you doing?
In plus territory, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was at the 44-yard line, I think.
Staggering. I do not understand it.
Deserve to lose from there.
Yeah, if I understand, like, if it's not your strength, play calling or knowing those situations, get someone in the building that does, who's in your headset. I hate seeing stuff like that. It feels so like 80s. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, Harbaugh's going to Harbaugh.
As expected, we're expecting Justin Herbert to be way down on his pass attempts, only 26 when we used to see him closer to 50. So yeah, I expect that trend to continue. I suppose my favourite moment of this was the brawl after the Lad McConkey touchdown. Was sensational. There was like 5 or 6 separate fights going on. It was fantastic, and I put it on our Twitter. But that was, Harbaugh in one game has got more fight out of these Chargers than Brandon Staley ever managed to.
Someone came out with a steel chair, didn't they? And Jim Ross was commentating.
My God. It was sensational stuff, and I think that is just that's signaling that changing culture. I think I know it's something daft to say, but actually, all those Chargers players were steaming in there, wanting to get their bit. So yeah, a good win for the Chargers in a tough game. Something the Raiders are going to be easy outs for anyone. Zamir White disappointing from a fantasy perspective for the Raiders. Obviously, a lot of noise around him being having a big year from a production perspective.
Yeah, he just didn't get the volume, which, got 13 carries. Madison got a little bit. Madison got a touchdown through the air. Alexander Madison through the air. What's going on?
With a hurdle wire as well. It's a hurdle of.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know who it was at first. I knew Alexander Madison was on the Raiders. I just didn't know he had that in his locker. Again, I just don't really know what the Raiders are doing. And I know I was low on them on the previews and such like, but again, it's nothing. I haven't seen anything to convince me otherwise right at this point. So
excellent. And then just finish off the ATS bet. Byron, you were also solo on the Lions as well. Obviously, the overtime touchdown.
Exactly how I thought it was going to go.
Exactly how you thought it was going to go. Yeah. So plenty more to come. And we're all on the Niners, so it's not going to affect the standings too much. And let's have a move over to finish off. The last couple of bits, but Fantasy Game Day. Reminder, use promo code COVER. Go download it now. The UK's best and fastest growing daily fantasy. It had the most entries, and it's 200 and odd entries for week 1, so that's fantastic, and long may that continue. Prize spot of over £1,200. Congrats, there were 3 winners of the top prize because of the number of entries in, so first, second and third all got a top prize, which was £106. We also placed as well, which was nice. We finished 43rd and there were 44 prize spots, so get in. Good start. But just a quick run through. So congratulations to Yellow8233, whoever you are. You won the whole thing. Score 160.46, so low scoring efforts we had just with the games and the teams that were out. We didn't see the high score, and it's usually 230, 240 plus to get a winning score. Tyreek captain, 71 people had captain Tyreek, so as expected. It was the Baker Godwin stack that did the damage. Baker Mayfield, the 4 touchdowns, 280 odd yards, and Godwin with his 80 odd yards and 1 receiving touchdown. That appeared to be the difference. Good returns from Mixon, 26.8 points for his 30 carries, a touchdown, 150 yards, and Nico Collins for his 100-plus yards. But, yeah, low returns from Javonte Williams, Yoshi, and Noah Fant as well. But, yeah, solid lineup, and, congratulations to that user. So make sure you come in to play. It's great fun watching Red Zone with a Fantasy Gameday lineup in total, and we are definitely going to do better than 43rd next week, I can promise you. And we're going to finish off with a quick look at Thursday Night Football, just because of when our preview episode will go out and it'll be done. Bills, Dolphins on Thursday night in Miami. The Bills are 2.5-point underdogs. I'm on it already. I'm going to take the Bills plus the 2.5. Over-unders 50. Who are you liking for Thursday night football, gents?
I think we're going up against each other here. Yeah, I like the Dolphins. I think the Bills looked a bit too much of a mess on Sunday. If the Cardinals are keeping pace with you, I think the Dolphins might do a number on you. So, yeah, I'm taking the Dolphins minus 2.5 for sure.
But do the Dolphins ever beat the Bills? It always feels like the Bills always have one up on them in most games. Yeah, good point.
If they can't do it on Thursday, can you do it on a warm Thursday night in Miami? That's what you've got to. It is in Miami, right?
Can you do it on a warm and humid night in South Florida? It is in Miami, yes. And also the Bills plus points. I know it was a bit of a struggle. But yeah, I'm taking it. I think the Bills have got the Dolphins number. So yeah, I'm going to take the Bills plus the 2.5. Give me Josh Allen and a field goal pretty much. I'll take it.
Yeah, I think I'll go with you, Paul. I think it'll be a close game, and having plus money, it's I think if they'll, and you mentioned the Bills, the Dolphins should have lost that game. They should have been with that. If Travis didn't bumble and score a massive touchdown straight away, would be like, what's happening to this Dolphins offense? So I'll be curious how each team goes on, because it was a weird. Yeah, the Dolphins offense was struggled a lot more than we expected, but the defense stepped up and had some big games. So we'll see if they can continue that to a Thursday night football.
Excellent, gents. That's our week 1 review done. 1 down, 17 to go. Oh, I can't believe you're saying that already. Football is back, and we bloody loved it. We'll be back in a couple of days with our week 2 preview. We'll have a great guest on. We'll share our best bets. We'll talk through the games. We'll just have fun like we always do. Make sure you're following Good Teams Win Great Teams cover over on Spotify. You'll be notified of a new episode when it drops. Also, follow us on YouTube if you want to see our faces while we're talking. Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok at GTW_GTC. Watch out for your Charlie pick on Thursday for the Bills Dolphins, and we'll catch you. I think it'll be Thursday that they'll probably release, won't it, for the week 2 review. Friday. Joe, you nodding Friday? Yeah, Friday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning by the time it gets out. Make sure you're listening for all your best bets for week 2. Thanks for listening, and good luck, and may all your bets cash.